So, Mitama, you think you're gonna get away lying about your backstory? We're gonna have to talk about that. But first off, before we get into this, now I do actually have a section where I can talk about what happened in the game, because we do have some stuff here that happened in the game, I guess to some degree. We're gonna talk about how the confrontation with Rumor Tsuruno happened in the game, because it is a little bit different in the anime. Especially in one very specific aspect, it's very different. So let's get in there. So we're gonna start with the second half of chapter 7. I have talked about the first half in some earlier video. In what happens here is Yachio, she meets up with Kanagi because she wants to talk about potential leads to Magia's HQ. This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to get to Magia's HQ. They're also trying to figure out what's going on with the theme park rumor or whatever. They're trying to figure out where Tsuruno is because they just saved Sana and Felicia, although they kind of saved themselves after Mifuyu helped them a little bit. It was a bit weird, but that all happened, and they all get together and they decide to head to an old rail yard where they think they'll be able to find some leads on Black Feathers, on the Magia's HQ. That's where the information is going to be. They go there, they find the Nays, they beat them up because of course the Nays get beaten up, like Kanagi whips their ass, and they give them some more information, and they find out more about the theme park rumor, and that Tsuruno is connected to the theme park rumor, and they're gonna try to get there and save Tsuruno and maybe beat some more Black Feathers and maybe beat some more Magia's asses along the way. So they go over there, and Sana and Felicia, they are now actually gonna like rejoin the group formally because they were like chilling out at home earlier, so they rejoin the group again. They all head there together, so we have Momoko, Kanagi, and the rest of Team Mikazuki minus Tsuruno, that of course they're gonna head over there and try to save Tsuruno. There's also this scene meanwhile where, you know, like last time I said, like, okay, Kaide was very sad at home because she learned the truth about witches and she was really sad, and then Rina just comes up to her and slaps her and goes like, snap out of it, and Kaide is like, man, you're a good friend. Anyway, moving back to the theme park rumor, the Chelation Land rumor. They get to Chelation Land, however, they find some stuff there. What do they find? They find some feathers, because of course they're gonna find some black feathers. You're gonna need some mooks to kill. They also find Alina, Toka, and Mifuyu, who are all like, ha ha ha, we're evil, mustache twirl. I didn't grow out a mustache for this, but they all twirl mustaches and like how evil they are. But Mifuyu is sort of going like, hey guys, save them, save your friends, blub, blub, blub. And they're gonna say, and Mifuyu basically relays the information that in order to save Tsuruno, they're gonna have to somehow enter her heart or something. I don't know, we're gonna talk about that later. But for right now, some fighting happens, and while all of this fighting is going on between these people, Iroha and Yachio, they decide that they're gonna like sneak off and head to the center of the Uwasa, where they find Rumor Tsuruno. Now, Rumor Tsuruno, I know in the anime, Rumor Tsuruno just immediately snapped and tried to kill our characters, or at least attack our characters, but here in the game she actually just talks to them. She doesn't really directly attack them that much. It's more so the rumor minions that attack the people, but they do try to talk to Tsuruno for a little bit, like, why are you doing this, come back to us, and blah, and they're trying to sympathize with her, but it doesn't really work, okay? So they get this idea that we need to get through to her heart somehow. How do we do that? How do we get through to her heart? Well, they don't actually reach an answer, they just hit her. They just hit her really hard and say like, we're gonna use magic to draw out the rumor while we get through to her heart somehow. They don't really explain how they're doing this, something that the animators way better, but they just say like, okay, we're gonna sympathize with her really hard and then magic and hit her in the face really hard, and then somehow it's gonna work. So they do that. It doesn't work, okay? It's just like in the anime, she just collapses to the ground and is injured, although in the game they don't show any blood, they don't show any other injuries. She's just like fell over, basically. She just falls over, and right after this scene she just gets up again and she's fine again, so nothing really else happens. This is basically what the game does. Now, I'm not going to continue with what the game does at this point, because then it might spoil, spoiler. I mean, there's going to be spoilers in this video anyway, but I'm not going to go on with what happens after this, because in the next episode we'll probably get the parallels to what happens after this. But yeah, we can see that in the game it's less clear how they're actually going about saving Tsuruno, and of course we also have like the rest of Magas there. We have like Toka there, we have Alina there. Nemu hasn't actually shown up yet at that point in the game, so even though in the anime we have a very good understanding of who Nemu is at this point, in the game she hasn't actually shown up at all at that point yet, so that actually happens later in this chapter. But now moving back to the anime. In the anime, we don't actually have that much stuff to talk about. In the anime, we mostly want to talk about Tsuruno, Tsuruno, and we mostly want to talk about Mitama because, Mitama has done some stuff. But if we just very quickly go through the episode, we have Holy Mummy there, we have Tsuruno there, we have the scene with Nemu tries to dissuade Toka, which doesn't happen in the game, because in the game, Toka and Nemu are basically on the same wavelength. Like I've said this before, but Toka and Nemu, they're basically both having the same goal, but also the same opinion about how they're going to reach that goal. They're both basically saying, let's kill people. While in the anime, Toka is like, let's kill people, and Nemu is like, maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we shouldn't really kill people, and maybe we should try to be a bit more friendly, right? Be the good guys. So I really like that they actually made Nemu a character in the anime and actually made her have a conscience, other than just going along with Toka in the game. So there's a bit of fighting going on between the rumors and our main characters, and of course the Puella Holy Quintet is there. They're not anywhere near here at all in the game, which is weird because they actually, I think it was kind of explained that they tried to reach Madoka, but they couldn't, because I think this is during the time where the Puella Holy Quintet is trapped in a barrier by Alina and Holy Mummy, which sounds weird, but I talked about this as well, I think, for the first episode in Season 2. I talked about how some stuff happens there in the another story where they get like trapped in a barrier, and I think they might have been at that time, so they couldn't call for help. That was some weird stuff, and I really like that they didn't do this in the anime, because that was just fucking weird. Anyway, there's some fighting going on here, and yeah, I talked about this as well in the normal episode review. Homura time stop doesn't work. I talked about this as well with some other people on the Discord on like, yeah, can you actually come up with consistent logic on why this doesn't work? You can be like, oh, but the rumor is like it's touching her, and because it's touching her, time actually still flows. But then in just the episode before this, when Homura was in the truck, the truck flipped over and she stopped time while she was in the truck, and the truck had its time stopped even though she was sitting in the truck and touching it. So I don't fucking know. And you can be like, oh, but no, like non-living beings, like objects, right? Objects aren't actually part of the time stop unless Homura specifically wills it. But when she wills it, the stuff like glows purple, like we know from the first season. So it glows purple when she wills it, but her guns don't glow purple, and they're objects, so dude, the logic just doesn't line up, okay? No matter what logic you try to apply to Homura's time stop and what it affects and doesn't affect, you'll always come up with holes in the logic somewhere. So I said to everyone, just guys, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the logic of Homura's time stop. Just accept the fact that the writer needed. The writer just said, we need Homura's time stop to not work. Because if Homura's time stop works here, we don't have a fight. There's no fight here. If Homura's time stop just works, you just stop time and then what? They see Mummy stop, they see Tsuruno stop, but they're just gonna walk past them. Like they're trying to get to Magus, they're just gonna walk past them. But that's not a story. You can't have a story where you just walk past the boss. What? So yeah, it just doesn't work because just accept it, okay? Just accept that it doesn't work. Moving on. So some fighting happens, Tsuruno attacks Yachio, and there's a clash. And I guess this is one animation in the middle of this, where Tsuruno uses like a really powerful effect, and you can say like, okay, we have seen other points in the anime where characters use like their Magia attacks from the game. So in the game, people have this like ultimate attack, the Magia attack. And they've shown some of those in the game. So maybe this is supposed to be Tsuruno's Magia attack that she uses here, which is called the Uwasa Flame Waltz, which is a very interesting name because her regular Tsuruno's Magia is just called Flame Waltz, and this is Tsuruno, so it's Ruma Flame Waltz. Nice. So they fight a little bit, and then they run away. And then Yachio says, welcome back, Felicia and Sana, which happened at a way earlier point in the game. But here's something that happens only in the anime and not in the game, and I'm really happy that it happened in the anime, where Felicia calls Yachio out. Really important, because one thing to note about Yachio, especially in the anime, I mean also in the game, but more so in the anime, Yachio seems to only really care deeply about Iroha and not that much about the rest. Like Yachio says like, oh, I care about you, Felicia, and oh, I care about you, Sana, and oh, I care about you, Tsuruno. She's known Tsuruno for like 3 or 4 years maybe at this point. Has been really good friends with her. Like Tsuruno was like 17 years old or like 18. Tsuruno is also pretty old actually. Like, she has known Tsuruno for that long. She has, like, had Sana and Felicia live in her house for quite a while now. But she still doesn't actually seem to care that much about him. She says she does, but she doesn't actually, because she doesn't actually know that much about these people. She doesn't know that much about Sana, she doesn't know that much about Felicia, and she definitely doesn't actually know that much about Tsuruno because she didn't actually get close to them. Like, there's a difference between being around someone for a really long time and actually being close to someone. There's some shots in an earlier episode that I'm not going to bring up now, but it was in the episode where Tsuruno was first introduced, where they go and hunt for the Seance Shrine rumor, and Tsuruno's all Genki like, hey, let's do happy fun stuff, yeah, let's talk about it. And Yasha's just like, oh man, it's the Genki girl again. And she like rolls eyes and goes, oh, Tsuruno, she's so annoying, man. Haha, but I'm good friends with her. It's like, okay, Yacho, are you actually friends with her? Are you really friends with her? And like Felicia calls out, like Felicia doesn't specifically call out the Tsuruno part, but Felicia calls out that Yacho doesn't actually care that much about these people, like on a deeper level, like on a deeper interpersonal level. She doesn't really know that much about these people. She just tells herself, I know these people, I'm good friends. Like looks in the mirror and like, I'm friends, right? Aren't we friends? I'm not friends with these people. And then she doesn't really know how to deal with the reality that no, she's actually not good friends with these people. So yeah, really good that they actually call it out here because it becomes really important with what comes after the Tsuruno part. But we'll get to that in a second. Next up, the Puemagori Quintet, they're just sitting there snacking, and we see they're talking about, or rather, Kyoko talks about the like experiments that they've done, where they try to fuse rumors with people. In the game, they don't really go too much about the background behind this. They just say like, okay, Nemu, that's just something Nemu can do. Nemu can just fuse someone with a rumor. She can just do that. But she does talk about, like, Alina wants that done with her at some point. They do that to Mami, they do it to Tsuruno. And Nemu is like, oh, but doing that with rumors, it's very dangerous. The rumor might take control of you. The rumor might take some of your life force or something. And depending on what the rumor is, it might have different side effects or stuff like that. So Nemu doesn't really like that. Here in the anime, they're more so doing like evil scientist experiments basically on people, and the person that they're doing this right here on is a Ikumi, who is one of the fellas that we've seen in season 1 already in the background at some point. Ikumi is a person who, I mean, this is the spoiler section, okay? We're talking about a game story spoilers at this point, so everything goes, even for Arc 2. Ikumi doesn't make it to Arc 2, okay? Just like Ryo, Ikumi is met with a severe case of no longer being alive, okay? So she kind of steps over the boundary between life and death at some point. At least she has a really badass death where she like sacrifices herself to kill a really powerful witch. Kind of like what Kyoko does in the original anime. She basically does the same thing. And even though I said earlier in the other episode that Ryo kind of had it coming, because Ryo did have this scene in the game where she tried to kill the main characters, Ikumi on the other hand, is someone who is a lot more nice to people. Ikumi is just a very nice and friendly person. She just happened to be rather on the wrong side of this whole conflict, being a feather. So Ikumi definitely didn't deserve going out, but you know, there's just like in Arc 2, they have to like kill off a character every single chapter for some reason. They're like killing off people all the time in Chapter 2, in Arc 2. So Ikumi was just a character who was like deemed expendable. The writers basically say, okay, we have these characters, like there's a big line of characters that are like not actually that important. So if we ever want to kill someone, we can just randomly pick someone from this lineup and say this character dies now. So it's sad, but it does happen. Moving on though. We see that Yacho gets a letter from Mifuyu. So in the game, they like awkwardly just talking while all the black feathers and like mages are around. But in here, she gets a letter. It has a map. Okay, I don't know how the map. Did she make this map? I really want to know how she made the map. It's magic. Okay, it's magic. But wouldn't it be more fun if she actually sat down, took some paper, and like cut out some paper and then glued some stuff together with some origami folding to actually craft this map? Wouldn't that be more fun? However, so they talk a little bit about how they can go and solve the situation, but before they can solve the situation with Tsuruno, we have Mitama and Momoko, and I guess Mifu is there as well, and they're gonna have a moment. And here's where it gets interesting. So Momoko is like, hey, why are you not helping us? You're trying to be neutral. And there's another scene that happens in the game that is very much similar. It happens in chapter 9. I didn't show it on screen yet. I'm not gonna show it on screen yet, but because it's just a single scene. What happens in that scene in the game is that it's actually chapter 8. In chapter 8, Mitama, it turns out that Mitama has been helping out the Magias by giving grief seeds to the Magias so they can feed them to Eve, and she's also been giving the Magias information on like magical girls that have recently doubled, and being like, hey, there's this girl that has doubled recently. She might be a recruit, so if you go and recruit her, and that's gonna help you out, guys. So she's been giving information and grief seeds to the Magias, and she feels really bad about that. And Momoko is there and it's like, oh, you don't have to worry about feeling like not safe, right? You can be safe with me. Just become my girlfriend, and we're gonna be safe together. And Mitama is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be girlfriends. Okay, they don't say that, but Mitama does say to Momoko, like, you're gonna have to protect me for the rest of my life, and Momoko goes, yep. So we basically have the scene here, basically. Although in the anime they don't really say that Mitama has actually helped the Magias by like breaking neutrality in a way. It's more so like Mitama just happens to be neutral in the middle of this entire conflict. But it still comes down to the fact that Mitama is going to break neutrality in this case. She's going to feel bad about what she's done, and she's going to join basically the protagonists as it happens in the game. And how that happens is because Momoko talks to her. Like, both in the game and in the anime now, Momoko talks to her and it gets through to her and is like, hell, help us out. Although in the game it was more so guilt because she helped out the Magias. Here in the anime it's more so like trying to appeal to Mitama's human side. In the anime, Mitama is a lot more evil for some reason. Like, at least she comes across more evil, while in the game she comes across more as like just a scared person. Okay, so she talks about her backstory in the anime, not in the game. In the game, she doesn't actually talk about her backstory. That's because of just a magical girl story. That's a side story. You, as the player, can just go and look at her side story, and I actually have it uploaded on YouTube on my channel. You can look at Mitama's magical girl story, and you can look at the entire thing. Anyway, this backstory that she gives is definitely a lie. She lies about her backstory here. And here's the thing. I know I've talked about this as well, also on the Discord, where some people have said, is this actually now the new backstory for Mitama? Is this the anime canon backstory for Mitama? That she originally was like, oh, I always wanted to be a magical girl, but I just happened to not have good magic. And because I didn't have good magic, I just happened to not be able to fight witches, and therefore I became really sad. However, my magic was adjusting, and with that magic I was able to help people and blah. That's basically the backstory that she gives. In the game, the backstory is actually that she was caught up in the East-West conflict in Kamihama, because she's from the East, and the East basically has this... basically everyone thinks that the East are all people like drug dealers and like criminals, people who steal a lot of stuff, bandits and thieves, and also people who are very stupid, basically the ghetto. People think that the East is basically the ghetto of Kamihama because there's just poor people there. And she was born there. However, she was really smart, and she was so smart that she went to a school in the West. However, she got bullied out of that school. Then she came back to the East. She got bullied out of that school, got bullied out of every single school that you can imagine, and that was really sad. And basically the entirety of Kamihama had turned against her for no fault of her own. Just because she's from the East, everyone hated her, which she hated so much that she befriended Kanagi. Kanagi is also very much... Kanagi is also a person from the East who's very much like, we need to seize the means of production, the East needs to rise up and overtake the West. That's basically what Kanagi is like. Okay, I may be overacting a little bit, but she's a little bit like that, okay? Kanagi also kind of wants to level the city and rebuild it anew without the East-West conflict. But Mitama is also kind of like, man, fuck everything, I hate everyone, you guys are all shit, I'm gonna destroy Kamihama. And she makes the wish, I want to be the one to pull the trigger, I want to be the one to destroy Kamihama. Now, the reason why I think this is also canon to the anime is because this wish, we've seen it already in the anime. In episode 1, at the very end of episode 1, they show a whole bunch of wishes on screen. They show most characters' wishes are on screen at some point at the very end of episode 1, and one of those wishes is Mitama's game wish of her saying, I want to be the one to destroy Kamehama. That is her wish that shows at the beginning of the anime on a screen somewhere. So I do think that this is supposed to still be canon for the anime. Now the question is, why did she lie about this in the anime? The reason is simple. She has Mifuyu and Momoko in front of her, who, like, in the game, no one actually knows about this backstory. No one knows about this backstory, except maybe Kanagi. We don't even know if she told all of that to Kanagi. But in the game, it seems like only she knows about everything that went down, okay? And maybe her sister, Mikage, but she's not in the anime, it doesn't matter. So it seems like no one knows. But here she has Mifuyu and Momoko right in front of her. Is she gonna tell both of them, like, hey, I wish to destroy the fucking city? I don't think that would come over well. I think that maybe both of these people would absolutely fucking hate her after this. Maybe even attack her after this. I don't think that would be a good thing to do. I feel like Mitama right here is trying to sympathize with these people, or trying to look sympathetic to these people. Mitama is trying to get Momoko and Mifuyu on her side. Be like, hey, I'm such a sad person. Please like me. Mitama is someone who wants to be liked by other people. At least in the game, I guess I assume in the anime as well. So of course you wouldn't tell them like, hey, by the way, I wanted to destroy the city. I don't think that comes across very well. So she basically just said like, hey, I was actually a really happy person who wanted to help people. Yay. Yeah, this is not what happens in the game. Like, not the actual backstory. Like I said, I still think that the game story is her canon anime backstory as well. And about her magic was never explicitly stated, but we know that her adjusting people that she does with soul gems is something that she learned from Livia. But explaining the entire thing with Livia teaching her about adjusting soul gems, that goes like way too far for the anime. Like, we're never gonna see this in anime. People are gonna be like, whoa, could Arc 2 ever be put into an anime? First off, no, because like 3 times as much content. You would need like 6 or 7 seasons to do Arc 2. It's also not even done. And it's not going to be done for like the next 2 years. And also it still doesn't have good writing. So you will also have to rewrite the entire thing from ground up with 5 times as many characters. It's not going to happen, guys. They're not going to do an Arc 2 anime unless they're going to completely fuck it up, okay? So let's not worry about Arc 2 stuff. But yeah, so she did get taught by a person who is only relevant to Arc 2 and doesn't matter right now. So because all that is a bit too much, they didn't mention it here in the anime, which is good. And they just said in the anime, my power is adjusting soul gems. They just skipped that entire part, which I agree with. I agree with in the anime just saying all of its side stuff that is maybe relevant in the future, it doesn't matter. Only thing that matters right now is that Mitama has the power to adjust soul gems. Done. Okay, let's just move on. But yeah, in the game, that's not actually her magic. That's something she learned. Her actual magic is the magic of like death and decay, basically, where she is able to inflict her magic onto whatever she touches. And when she inflicts something with her magic, like by like touching it or whatever, she like causes corruption and decay in that person, which is something that we see in the game when she uses her Magia, which is called like structure destruction. Where she like causes every single damage over time effect in the game she causes an enemy except burn effect. She like causes poison and curse and damage over time, all of that stuff. Her doppel is called Totentanz, and it basically has the power to erode and corrode everything it touches. Like, basically that's her doppel. So yeah, that's basically her magic, which is not suited for fighting witches because it's basically the same element as witches. Like, witches fight with curses, and Mitama fights with curses. So it's like not very effective, and even then it's damage over time. Damage over time is not effective against big evil witches, so she sucks at fighting. And so she learned adjusting from Livia. But then we basically get back to the same point where, she can adjust people. When she adjusts people, she looks into their memories. That's something that also happens in the game, where when you adjust someone, you look into the memories. So even though the cause of all of this is different in the anime, it's just her power, it's just what she does. But in the game, it's something she learned, and it's a side effect of that power. But still, we do get to the same point of Mitama being really sad, not wanting to open up to anyone, but her girlfriend is here. Momoko is right there. She's like, let's hang out together, and Mitama is like, we're a good friend. You could be my girlfriend, and Momoko is like, damn right, and they hit it off together, and we basically reach the same conclusion of Mitama breaking neutrality to help the good people. yeah, that's basically the most important part and basically the main reason for this video. So then we get the point where Mitama explains how they could save Tsuruno, and she actually gives an explanation here. That in the anime we have the Connect actually being part of the story, because in the game, the Connect is purely a gameplay mechanic. Doesn't actually factor into the story at any point, never even mentioned by a character. So because they have the Connect part of the story, they're repurposing the Connect here for this right here. So in the game, they said, we're just gonna try and get through to Tsuruno's heart while punching her in the face, I guess, and it's just gonna work out. They didn't really go much into this, but here in the anime, they can say, okay, we have to connect. You're gonna connect to Tsuruno's human side. So you have the human side, you have the rumor side. If you connect to only her human side, you can basically grab her human side and drag her out of the rumor, right? But if you want to try to connect to only her human side and not her rumor side, you need to know exactly what the human side looks like, right? You need to have a really good understanding of this person to grab her human side and only her human side and rip it out. So it actually makes sense that it can fail and that it is dangerous, okay? And they don't even need to make random stuff up. So everyone talks about this. Yachiro talks about how she knows Tsuruno best when she really doesn't. Like, she knows Tsuruno for the most amount of time, but she never actually got close to Tsuruno. Tsuruno wanted to get close to Yachiro. Tsuruno sometimes went up to Yachiro. You see in an early episode, I don't know, like at the end of season 1, I think, where Tsuruno, I think they're all in Team Mikazuki Villa, Tsuruno like leans next to Yachiro and like tries to grab her hand and is like, woo, Yachiro, let's be friends, whatever. And Yachiro just sort of swats her away and is like, go away, Tsuruno. You're just the Genki girl. But we're good friends, right? Like, this is the thing about Yachiro. Yachiro just tells herself she's good friends to anyone. She really isn't. Anyway, I've already talked about this before. But then we also have Sayaka, who's like, I know Mami really well. No, you don't. And people have wondered who else could actually connect with Mami here. Who knows Mami better than Sayaka? Everyone from the Puella Holy Quintet knows Mami better than Sayaka. Kyoko knows her better because Kyoko has known her for over a year earlier. They've been together in Casamino or whatever, in this other city. They've been together for a really long time. And so Kyoko knows a lot about Mami. And Kyoko also got really close to Mami as well. They've basically been girlfriends. Homura knows Mami really well because she also had these other timelines, and in all these different timelines, she has gotten to know Mami really well. In this timeline also, Mami confessed her feelings to Madoka, but she basically is supposed to be like, oh, I'm actually a really sad person and I just act strong because I hate myself. She's done that speech in this timeline because we actually see that in a flashback in the first episode of season 2. There's like this very short flashback where where Madoka talks about, I know what Mami is really like, and it shows like flashback of Mami talking about how sad she really is. So every single person here knows Mami better than Sayaka, but Sayaka says she's the one to do it. So yeah, it's good that she didn't actually go through it, but I think it's gonna be Madoka. I think that flashback in the first episode sort of sets it up that it's gonna be Madoka to save Mami, because she knows what Mami is actually going through, and this is also why Madoka was the one to stop Sayaka from connecting later. Anyway, so then we get a really weird thing where Mitama says like, I'm gonna try and save Kaede, it's dangerous, but we can do it. I have no idea what is gonna happen here, because this happens in the game. Double syndrome is not a thing that happens in the game. And you know, just earlier I talked about how Kaede and Reina were like becoming friends again, and how that's gonna happen. That has nothing to do with the anime. What? We also have Kurue, who exists, and even in this in-depth review with game knowledge, I have nothing else to say about this other than I still think this character who Kurue is talking to is supposed to be the anime version of Kuro, who we know from the game. Also like the bear-like feature. She's like a humanoid bear with like her big paw hands. Look at that, she's got like paw hands and she's got a little bushy tail or whatever. I think she looks a little bit like a bear. And the witch of Kuro was Matasaburo, which is it's not really a bear, it's not like a bunny, but it has similar features. It has very similar features to that. So I think there's maybe some parallels here, whatever. So then we go back to Mami and Tsuruno and the rest of the team. They're all fighting. They connect with Tsuruno. Tsuruno gets shreked. And yeah, in the game, the shrekening of Tsuruno looks a lot less painful. She just sort of like gets knocked down and then gets up again. And then gets knocked down and gets back up again. I guess they can't keep her down, but in the anime, she gets fucking blown up. She gets turned inside out and her spine breaks. So, that didn't quite work out, I guess. So, in the anime, she gets absolutely fucking blown up, but she's fine because she's a magical girl. Magical girls just don't die that easily. But yeah, then we reached the end, and that was that. Some people said that her when she gets up and like spins around a little bit, it kind of seems like an earlier scene when she was in Banbansai, where she was like delivering food to people, where she would also like spin around, and she like spun around in a really similar way right here. I don't know. Anyway, point is, the video's over. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.